that I love to ground every office hours in the why. And I think for all of us, we really care about helping ourselves think well. I think we're all here to scratch our own itch and really find a better way to handle all of the different information coming at us at any given time, to do better about the knowledge that we're creating every day, the knowledge we're consuming every day, the knowledge we're interacting with every day. And I think most importantly, all of us are curious people that want to make better sense of the world, want to create better understandings for ourselves. Obviously very curious, Robert, Andy, any personal motivations in addition to the ones that I already know. I know the rest of the team would love to get to know you guys throughout the office hours today as well. So please share as much as you'd like. We've got two major goals here that we're working towards, and we're so grateful for both of you and the conversations we've already had to help us in these two goals. But number one, digital spaces that bring out the best in us. What does that mean? What do those spaces look like? How do they feel? What do they enable us to do? What do they spark in us? So really, I love having those types of conversations and really problem solving on that area. And then goal number two is, what does it mean for us to go from the information age to the intelligence age? Data is such a critical part of that, and it's helping bring such better problem solving and critical thinking to many different corporations and businesses and organizations. And how can we bring it to each of us and everyday people in our personal and professional lives? So that's goal number two, is equipping ourselves with a database, a personal database that helps us really do more with our knowledge and our data. The intention of office hours today, like every other office hours, is just to be here and problem solve together and answer any questions that you guys have as you've been tinkering with Edvo, and also an opportunity for us to just get to know each other better. So today, a big part of just the space we created is for all the Q&A, but we can also go into any use cases, any roadmap conversations you guys are curious to have that you want to dig into. Cool. Dar, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick off with maybe some product updates before we get into Q&A.
Yeah. So one of the biggest updates that we have, we'll hopefully be releasing it out today, are portals. So last week we talked about how you're able to bring, to move things within spaces. One of those ways is by tagging things to each other. Y'all know that if you wanted to tag something, we create a new card. If you wanted to tag something, you just hover over the title and add a tag and just put it wherever you want to, like that. But portals are finally getting fixed. And what that means, now that we can actually demo it to you, is I can turn this into a portal if I just go to appearance. And now I can actually visually move something in between spaces. And so the power of that is you're able to actually see where you're moving those things in between spaces, place them wherever you want to, and be able to work across spaces side by side. Like so. So huge kudos to Rashid for getting this working. It was broken for quite some time, so now it's not. Cool. So all you have to do again is just like click on any card, right click on any card, appearance, and you'll be able to find portal. It's default set to normal, which is what it would look like for a regular note card. Portal is how you change it into portal. There are probably there are some known bugs that you'll experience, but let us know how it feels if you want to tinker around with that.
Yeah, and I just want to share a little bit of thinking behind portals. And honestly, a lot of stuff, I feel like portals were this like beautiful, magical thing that just we like discovered one day as a result of how we design things. But what I love about portals and the reason why we continue to invest in portals is because for me personally, it really has allowed a continuity of a context. Like I can be in this like bigger parent space, let's say, and I don't quite want to like change my entire screen and go into another space. All I want to do is get like a quick context retrieval, from like a subspace, or I want to just grab something, or I just want to remember something, whatever that may be. And I just go into a portal, I can zoom in, zoom out, find the thing I want, reference it, do what I need to do with it without leaving that larger context. And then it gets even fun when it's like portal within a portal within a portal. And it's insane because you just, again, get that continuity of context, a literal context, a continuity of flow. So I'm really eager to get your guys' feedback as you start working with it more, to see what it creates for you, what it does for you, if it does anything. But that's something that I'm a big fan of as I've been using portals.
Robert, I know you're a huge like wiki user, and I know you've been experimenting with like the capabilities of Edvo compared to wiki and bringing wiki into Edvo. So one of the things we probably haven't discovered yet, because it's not too discoverable, is being able to link topics within spaces. So for example, if I'm here and I wanted to like be able to refer to another topic or another space within my outline, you just have to like use the @ symbol. It's going to say search topic, and I can just search Zoom. And link it like that. So that's a fairly new feature. It's not too discoverable, but it's there. Just use the @ symbol. Coming soon with that is also being able to mention people. So that's a roadmap we see there with that feature and functionality. And it works the same as tags. Once you click on the tag, it takes you to that space.
You can also, when you do the @ symbol, I'm pretty sure you can also create spaces right then and there. So you don't have to choose from an existing space. You can do @ symbol, create a new space, and do what you want to do with that.
Interesting. Yeah, when you asked about wiki, there was some experiments in wiki with croquet.io, which has portals. I think I shared the link somewhere last week. But yeah, wiki did an interesting thing where you could make a lineup of certain documents, and then it would help generate a sort of, I think what was called a wonder room or something like that, where you go into the space and it has those however many documents on the walls. So it'd be interesting to have those portals in Edvo, I think, as well.
Yeah, I saw that too, Robert. I don't remember where, but I saw that too. Was it a wiki?
I can share the link again to croquet.io. Yeah.
Have you tried bringing it into Edvo yet?
No, actually, I haven't. I forget. Sometimes
you just paste the link in the space.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
I recognize the link. That's funny.
I put it there last time.
Yeah, I wasn't here the last time, but I recognize the link anyway because I've seen it somewhere in my flows passing by. So, yeah, thank you.
I'd have to find a link to a space, but I'd have to go searching. So I'll maybe do that at a break or something. No.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't looked into this one yet, so I'll look into that one in a bit. So what I'm going to do is
Here's one.
Oh, yeah, it looks like you brought that in last week. And I was able to see that. I see it tagged to office hours, so I know it's there. I just didn't look at it. So now I'm adding it to my space, so I know I get to look at it next time.
That's really cool stuff.
Yeah, I love the use of Edvo being able to recognize, obviously, similar links and show the connections you already have to it, because it gives you that extra context of like, hey, you already come across this, you already discovered this, and it creates that like serendipity. So I just have to like click on like that tag, and I'll probably be able to see, oh yeah, there we go. So Robert did bring that in last week.
And has a sticky that says has portals too. Context.
Oh,
But
are
I
not
guess I'm
tasty,
missing
Robert.
the better way. Do you call it an outliner, or what's the term you use for the notes sort of outliner app part? Or I don't know.
It's like a note card.
Yeah, are you referring to so there's the topic space, which is just a view into a topic. And then there's the member cards, which are the individual cards. Each member card could be a different type. It could be a sticky, it could be an outline, it could be a web card, but either way, each member card is backed by a vertex in the graph.
And the @ is in the, you call it an outliner, or yeah, I guess that's the one I was asking about.
I'm sorry, which?
Where when Darlene
This?
demoed the yeah, that one.
So that is the first of all, enter a name. Why don't we give that a name just so we can refer to it as doesn't matter what. The questions card is a vertex in your graph that has an edge to the topic space that you are currently in. And there's a name property on the questions card, and there's an appearance property on the questions card also that is telling it to appear like an outline that's normal, or like a portal or something else. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, when we're viewing that as an outline, you were talking about the insertion of the lozenges. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I don't know that term, I guess. So that's an interesting one, but yeah, lozenges. Okay. The little like pill shaped things.
Oh, yeah. So that's basically an embedded topic, if you want to think about it that way. How do what are the different ways that I can create relationships? One of them is to embed a reference to a topic in a piece of text. And yeah, when we have control over that piece of text, we can embed things in it. Do you want to reload real quick? I don't know if that's causing any issues, Dar.
Oh, sorry, I can't even see those because of my Zoom thing. Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm.
yeah, I was just going to send a screenshot from my side here. It was a lot of red things happening here.
Yeah, I had
Ooh. Go ahead. Sorry, Daniel.
I had a few of them myself. We're working through a couple of timing issues on stuff like that. Hopefully it's not too big of a problem, but definitely something we're looking at.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what's happening. So
yeah, we started making crashes much more obnoxious so that we are motivated to fix them.
okay, well,
Oh yeah, that's a good. This is a good screenshot that Andy has.
yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
That's a nice looking one.
Yeah, we'll look into that. So I'm curious as to, like, do we want to jump into any other questions and answers? I'm always chomping at the bit to talk about theory and UI affordances, but I don't want to just kind of go off here. So
Oh, no one's gonna stop you, Daniel. I will make a quick note first, based off of Andy, your screenshot. So if you wanted more space for your canvas, you can, I know there's not really a button or anything, but if you hover over the line between like this note section and the space, you can like kind of just decrease that to create more room for your canvas. And you can also close your left nav by clicking on this hamburger menu at the top. So you have maximum canvas space.
Of course, you can also make a full window of it. So
yeah, that too.
I haven't tried,
I-
but does it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go on, Robert.
I was going to ask. I haven't tried with either a touch screen or a tablet with a pen or anything. Does Edvo have those interfaces working?
Not yet. We thought about that, and we're trying to figure out what mobile experience we want to create. Definitely feedback would be welcomed in terms of what would be valuable, how do we actually make it work for those cases well. We could just kind of YOLO it, but that's probably not the best strategy.
You have like a touchscreen on your like laptop, for example. A few of the members of our community have those. I forgot what they're called, like Surface, something like that. Zooming and panning on the touchscreen work with Edvo, just not on an iPad or mobile yet.
And right now we are proactively blocking it from loading on mobile devices, but I think we're probably going to be removing that soon. And it's just a question of how do we create a good experience and not spread ourselves too thin.
I haven't done so much in Edvo yet, but and one thing I discovered was that I had to set most of my extensions to off to make it work pretty good, because a couple of those were probably meddling with the Edvo interface, and it was kind of disturbing because I couldn't do anything. It got all locked up, you know, for some reason. And I tried. I first time I was with you, I used Sidekick. That's my favorite browser, and I do most of my stuff in Sidekick, but I couldn't. Edvo wasn't functioning perfectly in that one, so I went back to Chrome and I turned off almost every extension, and that made it work much better. Is that something you have been thinking about or heard about before?
Was this an issue with the web cards or just generally?
Generally, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I could see that when I had turned them off, it made the thing Edvo work much more smoothly. My computer is old; it's from 2014. It's a Mac Air. It only have 3 GB of memory or something like that. But it works for most of the cases. But I can't have a lot of apps open at the same time. That I know. But that issue with the extension was kind of something I saw happening, and to make Edvo work for me, I went back to Chrome and put most of the extensions to rest.
Well, if you're able to provide a list of those extensions, we might be able to test them.
Of course, I was thinking about that. I will do that on a later occasion here. I will send it to you on Discord so you have it. I've been thinking about doing it, but when I came home from my summer house, was my internet connection was down since 1 week, and I had to wait for that to come online again, come live. So I wasn't able to do it before this meeting. Otherwise, you would have it already. But that was one thing I saw. Another thing was what I discussed before in Discord. Sometimes the websites I wanted to get into my space didn't take until the 3rd or 4th time, even the 5th time sometimes. And what I did was I kind of did a test with my empire. I call it my social media empire, my different sites, you know, the Medium site, my TypeShare site, my Spotify podcast site, you know, and try to bring them into space. I was able to manage that in the end, but it took some
But-
really
Yeah,
patience.
the ones that you were having issues with, how were you bringing those in? Were you using the extension or were you pasting the URL into a space?
I used extension.
Okay, we
Yeah.
have an update to the extension recently that I don't know if we're able to demo, but it shows whether it has saved or not. And
Yeah. I remember you talked about that in the Discord also, that it should flash something, right?
yes, so if we tag that, then you'll get confirmation and then you can avoid closing it until it's saved. If you close that panel before it has saved,
Mm.
then it will be lost, unfortunately. We may do
Okay.
additional steps. That was a short-term fix. We may make some additional steps to make it so that save is more likely to happen.
Well, I remember you talked about that. So, but anyway, I just wanted to bring it up again so we have it secured, in your continued work. The good thing with the test I did there was that there was so many different kind of sites, I have started a WordPress site recently that I haven't been able to do so much stuff with. I brought that in too, and that was the hardest one actually to get into the system.
I see.
It took 5 or 6 times for me to get it in, so there was something.
That's good
But
feedback.
anyway,
Thank you for that.
yeah, and I don't really have any more feedback right now at this time, but there's a lot of things going on here that looks really interesting that I want to try, and I will do that coming days here.
So I'm curious, do we have, I think it's useful to motivate conversations about some of the particulars of tools for thought from a perspective of personal use or needs. And so I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about this, but I want to surface one sort of prompt that we might potentially use, and that is, what does Edvo need to be in order for me to actually love it? Not just like how can we hype you up, not just like how do we make it shiny, but like what does it actually need? What is it missing in order to be the kind of thing that is actually transformative? Does anyone have any feelings on that?
Well, to be honest, I'm right now still between systems. I left Squintle here, mainly because of the reason that they haven't fixed an integration between Readwise and Squintle. And for me, an integral part of my PKM personal knowledge system is Readwise. It's kind of centered in my workflow, and when I had to do that, lift those things from download it from Readwise and then upload it to Squintle, that was an unnecessary step for me. It took unnecessary time for me that I could use for other things. Since I'm right now in the process of doing so many stuff at the same time, I'm writing a book, no 3 books actually. And I'm also a composer, and I just got commissioned to write a choir piece, and that's the first time that happened. So there's a lot of things going on for me. But what I want to do, I want to see something. You don't have to make a Readwise integration right now, right? But I would like to see a roadmap where maybe Readwise is in a not too far future.
Yeah, and so I think it will be very interesting to explore the particulars that you're looking to get not necessarily today, but the particulars that you are looking to get out of such an integration, because the in terms of what Edvo is going to build, I don't know if we're going to build a Readwise integration or not. But I think the key enabling factor is that it be possible for someone to build a Readwise integration.
Yeah, and open up IP,
Yes, exactly. And so as I see it, the exercise here is fundamentally it's not about building the everything app. It's not about building, because the reality is we can't build the everything app and nobody else can either.
No.
What we can do is create the conditions for that to be built.
Yeah.
And we can empower the people who might build that. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants here in terms of all of the efforts, all of the things that have been tried before. How do we differentiate from that? And
yeah,
I feel very fortunate that in this particular in this small little drum circle we have here, that I feel like there's a pretty high degree of understanding of some of the factors that contribute to that. So I think I just want to express our gratitude and just overall hope that we can tap the knowledge of the community to build not just a shiny thing that does, there's like the product copy, there's the marketing side, and that's important, that's necessary, we're going to have to do that. But to also create the real merit, the real value that will make you that will make it so that the frictions are low to your real workflows, that you are empowered to create whatever arbitrary workflows you want, that you have like control over where your data is and how it's used, and is it private, that we have a high quality integration and interaction story that a lot of products, I think, create this lovely garden, and it's got all of these beautiful flowers, but the gate is locked and you're trapped and you can't leave. And so if you've got, whatever, pick your metaphor, you've got other friends from another garden that you want to interact with. Sorry, the gate's locked, you can't interact with them. And so our hope, just to kind of end my little spiel here, our hope is that we can create an ecosystem, not a platform, but an ecosystem whereby you are, yes, we want to create a really nice garden and we want you to stay, but we also want to leave the gate open and let you meaningfully, not just leave with like, here, have an export file and buy. Like, that is a shitty situation. That's like data liberation, yeah, in theory. But in the same way, like, if you're on a Boeing 777 and I give you a parachute, it's like passenger liberation, right? It's like, theoretically you could jump and you'd be okay, but it's not something you would take lightly, and there's no going back from that.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about a garden, the first thing I thought about when I saw Edvo for the first time live was that it was kind of like those digital garden people have built online, all their stuff, in a way, but still not, of course. But in a way, what you're building here is a garden for us to plant our seeds into, That's what I'm thinking. We should look at each other as gardeners that put down seeds and make them flourish, and the shiny new tool thing, let's face it, nobody will ever be able to build a tool that fits everybody. It's not possible.
Mhm.
Everybody has their own kind of idea how they want their system to work, and how you can put that system together with the bits and pieces of apps and stuff like that, you know. And for me, an open app RPE is kind of one thing that's really good. If you can manage to do that in the nearby future, I think there's a lot of people that would be interested in seeing that.
And I think to that effect, there's different kinds of APIs.
Yes, of course.
There's the API where we control everything and you can have little dribs of
Yeah.
access. And I think that's maybe a starting point, but that's definitely not a long-term solution.
No.
That that it needs to be, as far as we're concerned, it needs to be a system that you can build your own applications on top of if you want, not just, hey, build a module that you can plug into the Edvo UI. Like, yeah, I think we need to do that, but also that you should be able to build a whole different application on the same backend such that they share data seamlessly, such that you can have real-time collaboration. And I think the metaphor that I think lands it for a lot of people, at least as I see it, is you've got Google Docs, which has real-time collaboration. You've got Microsoft Office, whatever their new thing is, 365 or whatever, which nowadays does also have real-time collaboration. How is it that you and I, how do we create the conditions such that you and I can be editing the same document, but I'm in Google Docs and you're in Microsoft, and we both see each other's cursor and caret.
Yeah.
And we're using potentially different tools, but we're collaborating on the same data at the same time. And I think that that's fundamentally the underlying vision of creating this ecosystem where the data isn't just in one place necessarily, but it's federated such that there's never this sort of like hard cut point where you're forced to make a decision. Am I using system A or am I using system B?
Yeah.
It's no, let me use both of them or whatever fraction of them I want, because we are ultimately, instead of using a single graph database, we're ultimately using a federated graph, and anyone who wants to participate in that graph federation is able to do so. And we just happen to want to build a really nice tool that allows everyday users to access that and to use that as a jumping off point. But ultimately, we see it as if we create the conditions where you don't feel trapped, where you can extend it to your heart's desire, where you can integrate it with other things, where your data is secure, where you can choose who is holding your data instead of them choosing for you. And we believe that a lot of folks will choose to stay with Edvo and build a community and build a healthy business while still not locking the gate to the garden.
I think that's a really good idea and thought system you're building here, you know. And I generally believe that you're on to something here that nobody else is doing right now. So for me, this is exciting, you know. I mean, I've been hovering around from Room Research to Squintle to Notion to Obsidian to Nimbus. I don't know everything. I've been trying a lot of systems, you know, building kind of smaller PKMs in every system just to know how they work, you know. And for me, you're doing something that's out of this world, to be honest. I think it's exciting. So I'm looking forward to further discuss this on deeper level with you guys. And I think Daniel and I have kind of similar thoughts, although you come in from another direction. You come from the back of the structure. I come from the outside, and maybe we can. I think we can do something really great together. You know.
Yeah, we're searching for the right forum, and I think these office hours conversations will not always be the right forum for that deeper conversation. And so, you know, I would value any sort of ideas about how to have that conversation well. But you know, I think you call out a lot of examples of other organizations that have tried different approaches.
Yeah.
And I think it's at a minimum, it's useful to highlight what is differentiating about this approach. And I think, that's something we're searching for ways to communicate to two different audiences, really. One is the audience of people in the Tools for Thought community who are well familiar with the metacognitive view of this problem. It's not just smashing into the problem and throwing your hands up, which I think is a very common response, but being circumspect about this problem space. So that's one audience that I think we need to work very hard to engage with, but also the everyday users who haven't had the opportunity to be circumspect about their problems, and they're just trying to get by. So we need to cater to both of these audiences somehow and try to not have them collide too much.
I mean, you just have to look at the cohort from building your second brain, the people from that. A lot of those people are coming out of that and they don't know what they're going to do with the system, you know. Still, I mean, they have excellent teachers, really great teachers, but they still come out of the system because it's not really focused on the personal use, as I see it. They focus more on the principles and the methodology, you know. And the same goes for Nick Milo's thinking or faking. I see that same thing happening there. And I mean, people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're still stamping around, and they can't really get by with the system they have in front of them. So, I mean, I've seen people struggle. I will not mention names, but I can say people are struggling out there. They need to find something that are appealing to them and easy to use. So here we are, Edvo.
That's the hope.
Yeah, I strongly believe you have something going on here, that you can reach out to those people that are kind of crashing and smashing out of expensive courses and yeah.
That's a really great insight, Andy.
Thank you. I mean, I worked really hard to understand this world myself. It took me, I started from basically nothing 3.5 years ago. And I got to learn so much by listening to other people and writing about what I've learned, you know, and getting in touch with other people. The little people contacted me because they had been so inspired by my writing on Medium. So that was something exciting to me, you know. And right now I'm also affiliated with the app Setup. Do you know that one? Setup.
Which one is it, Andy?
Setup.
Doesn't ring a bell for me.
No.
No, it's
Setup.
Neither.
Like they have like a lot of podcasts. Whatchamacallit? That's I've seen them before.
Setup is a Ukraine app that you can subscribe to, and you get hold of about 200 other apps in one subscription. Among those are Craft, Ulysses, and a lot of other apps. So you pay for one subscription and you get a lot of apps, both for iOS and Mac OS. So, and I've been also contacted by other companies that want to affiliate with me. So, I mean, I am open for a real connection with you guys.
Awesome.
I'm just putting it out there. I mean, it's you can decide whatever, but for me, it's exciting to be this team because I feel so excited about this.
And our hope is
We
that
can feel it. We can
Yeah.
feel your excitement, Andy.
our hope
Thank
is
you.
that we can continue to connect effectively and and kind of talk about the big ideas, but also talk about the immediate stuff and find the right balance. I see that there's a lot of stuff here that looks like it's robert.wiki.openlearning.cc. Does anyone want to talk about what this is? I was kind of yammering while this was going into here.
Robert just likes to experiment all the time. So Robert, why don't you take us away?
Sure. But there's a wiki embedded, and then I was taking notes because I realized I tried to link to one of Ward Cunningham's wikis. So this is who created this particular wiki, FedWiki, but some of his sites are HTTP only. So when I moved it in, it didn't work. And then, so I forked his content into my own federated wiki, and then so that my site does the HTTPS stuff. So then I was able to embed it, and then I tried moving in one of the wonder rooms that get generated as an example, but something else also must be broken because of it'll work better if you go to Ward's version on HTTP with the link. So if you look, so Wiki can host assets, so that's sort of you can host arbitrary web apps on a wiki and just sort of host them. And yeah, I don't know. Is the first time I tried it too, so it's interesting to see it works. But I guess would it have to be a portal, or how would this be more of like a co-browsing experience where one person could sort of move the joystick and move others around or something like that?
Magic word.
We've been investigating we call it remote browsing, but it's basically the same as co-browsing, except some cases it might be only you that are the co-browser. Basically trying to figure out how do we create a first-class browser experience that is able to suspend and take screenshots and embed those screenshots in the space, or automatically resume and reactivate, and be shareable. So we've come to the conclusion that essentially for the in-browser experience, that a sort of helper app will allow us to do what's known as headless browser window rendering, and that we would essentially stream your own browser windows running on your computer, stream them to your own browser, and then if you share it with other people, that you would be able to opt in, you would be able to stream it to them as well, and stream their keyboard and mouse events back, so you're actually having a proper co-browsing experience. But so this is something that's in the early stages, and our intention with this is to create a first-class browsing experience where we're not doing any of this, the weird iframe shenanigans that we're doing. We're doing some slightly evil things with content security headers in order to make this work, and it's not great. I think it's proved the concept. It's proved that people really want to have an integrative sort of experience, but we need, we can do better with this. But one little call out that I'd like to make is that where a number of other apps have have done co-browsing in a way that was centrally hosted, that we don't want to do that. And the main reason is privacy, because anytime, like I think it was Mighty, and they closed down recently, right? I think there are some other examples of hosted co-browsing. And so it's a security nightmare, because you are entrusting your secrets to their server, and fingers crossed as to whether that gets exploited or not. But also you've lost offline first functionality, and frankly, the unit economics don't work for the business either, which is why they shut down. So, right, that's one of the reasons. But if you're hosting that, that's different. So, so that will allow us to have the in-browser experience that's high quality. We also have a native app that will do a similar sort of thing. So helper app and native app. We're trying to figure out if those should be the same app or different apps, essentially. But that's the idea, is first-class browsing and shared, co-browsing as well, which will also give us a way to improve the performance of rendering, to selectively suspend tabs. That gives us full control over browser behavior. What happens when I click on this link? Does it open a new browser card in the same space, or does it it gives us a lot more control to be able to create a high quality experience.
Interesting. Actually, I was thinking earlier on in the call, when I was juggling back and forth a bit between a browser tab and the Zoom screen share, and wanting to just sort of follow the narrator along like you can do on Miro. That's I guess Miro is a sort of a hacked way of doing co-browsing too, if you're for at least I guess the more passive experience of you just want to watch somebody else take control, or let somebody else take control of I guess what people see.
Yeah. So that's something we've thought about. It hasn't risen in our priority list yet, but that's something that could be advocated for. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, there's a lot of things I've been meaning to connect, Robert. There's a lot of things that we could potentially talk about, but just curious as to whether anyone has any other thoughts about like the sort of the petty frictions as sort of one category of things. Like, what are the petty frictions that are preventing me from wanting to use Edvo? And then what are the deeper frictions? Do I actually trust these people? And do I trust them now? Do I trust them later? Do I want to hook my wagon to this, etc.? Like, so I realize I'm kind of tilting the playing field here a little bit, but I just want to kind of expose those issues as potential topics of conversation.